Hello. Dale na speaker se. Hello.
Hello,
Are you able to
sir.
hear me?
Yeah, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. తలుపేసి వెళ్ళు.
Sir, we'll wait another 2-3 minutes, sir.
Okay. Okay, no problem.
Let the students join, sir.
Yeah. How many students you are expecting?
Actually, total registered is 120 members, sir, through Google Form.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay. What is the topic?
these students are appearing for TCS National Qualifier Test, sir, which is going to be held on 24th, 25th, and 26th of this month. So, in this connection, we are organizing a technical talk, sir, regarding software development life cycle.
Oh, SDL.
SDLC, sir. Yes, sir. There is a new topic added this year by the TCS. So, just we want to give some insights into this SDLC, because there are EC students and
Okay.
other branch students are there, sir.
We have a software engineering course in our both BTech program and MTech program, object-oriented software engineering. So
Yes, sir.
we have discussed about all the phases of software development, domain analysis, requirement document, analysis document, design document, etc. We have discussed very thoroughly in our curriculum.
Sir. Sir, sir,
Yeah.
good evening, sir. Sir,
Good evening.
shall we
Good evening.
start, sir?
Yeah. I'm ready.
Sir, good evening, sir. Uh, I request Professor M.S. Prasad Babu Garu, President, CSI Region 5 Chapter, to address the students who are going to appear for TCS National Qualifier Test 2021.
Yeah.
Sir, please, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Ramesh, Mr. Naveen Kumar, and Dean Sharmaji. Good evening, all of you. I am glad to note that Vagdevi Engineering College is organizing a webinar too for the purpose of the students, those who are selected in National Qualified Test of TCS 2021 on the software engineering, software development life cycle, SDLC. Computer Society of India is a 55-year-old professional society established in 1965 at Hyderabad. Presently, it is having 80 regions and more than 80 chapters. 8 regions and more than 80 chapters, and more than 1,000 student branches all over India, with headquarters at Mumbai and education headquarters at Chennai. More than 1,20,000 members are associated to the Computer Society of India, and it is the largest in India and also maybe in the world itself, largest professional society in the world. Region 5 is spread over the 3 states, namely Karnataka, Telangana, and Andhra Pradesh states, with CSI chapters at Bangalore, Mysuru, Visakhapatnam, Vijayawada, Guntur, Koneru, Ongolu, and Hyderabad. There are about 362 student branches, 125 student branches in Karnataka, 144 student branches in Andhra Pradesh, and 95 student branches in Telangana. CSI is regularly organizing different professional activities like monthly professional meets, seminars, workshops, expert talks, awards to professionals, publish newsletter at chapter levels. CSI also organizes student contests, student seminars, professional meetings, expert lectures like this, conduct interactions with academic and industrial experts at student branches. CSI organizes National Annual Convention, National Annual Student Convention, Regional Convention, Regional Level Annual Student Convention, State Level Annual Student Convention, etc. CSI recognizes people and institutions and present professional awards. Academic awards, service awards are presented at its national, regional, and state level conventions. Apart from this, CSI also recognizes Best Accredited Student Branch, Largest Student Branch, Best International Student Events Host Award, Longest SPC Award, Maximum Publications in CSI Journals Award, Maximum Student Publications in CSI Journals Award, Highest Committed Student Branch Award for student branches. Other popular awards are CSI E-Ratna Award. Last year, this was given Chief Minister of Orissa State. CSI E-Governance Award, Fellowships Award, CSI Honor Fellowships Award, CSI Lifetime Achievement Award, CSI IT Excellence Award, CSI YATP Award, uh, and service awards, various other service awards at chapters. CSI publishes CSI Communication, a popular monthly in which all the activities, including this event, uh, and CSI will be published. CSI chapter activities and national level activities every month. Other publications are CSI Journal of Computing, ICT Sand Transactions, CSI Adyan Journals, etc. I am glad to note that the Vagdevi Engineering College student branch, CSI Vagdevi Engineering College student branch, is organizing this a webinar on the SDLC in the for the TCS National Qualified Test 2021 passed students. I appreciate Dr. Raju for accepting as a resource person for this event. CSI is also will gladly gladly invite the collaboration of institutions like TCS, Wipro, and Satyam, of course now, and Infosys, etc., institutions to arrange training programs, FDP programs for the students, those who passed in national quality test in 2020-21 or for any years. So we have experts in our student branches as well as chapters as well as in national level, experts on data science, uh, net network security, artificial intelligence, machine learning and deep learning, internet works, web apps, and also mobile apps, etc. So I invite the institutions like the Vagdevi Institute of Technology, and other institutions in Region 5 for active collaboration with the CSI and conduct this type of programs. I congratulate the students, those who passed in the National Qualified Test of TCS 2021. And actually, these students are the future our software professionals. A, a strong basis, a strong foundation is done with this type of webinars, then they will show their talents in their field. Actually, sometime back, I think 10 years back, when I'm teaching this object-oriented software engineering, so we have covered about all the uh, uh, domain document, uh, analysis document, requirement document, design document, test document, etc. And when our students are uh, studying those aspects and applying their live projects in our college, so the students, those who have went for training programs in other institutions, they see our students and they said, "Sir, you taught us more relevant topics than we have learned in the training programs in our institutions." So this I would like to emphasize here, because in the academic institutions, we deal more theory, more basics, more foundations, rather than, whereas if you student goes to the industry, they also have a good standards, but those standards are confined to the problem they are going to work only. So other aspects they are not going to deal much. But if academia industrial collaboration is established, in academics we cover all the topics and all the latest technologies and all the latest developments in the computer science, and in the practical in the industries, they do take this advantage and also implement them in their projects. So on behalf of Professor M. Surendra Prasad Babu, Regional Vice President, Computer Society of India, on behalf of myself and also on behalf of our National President, Professor R.K. Vyas, and our other office bearers, uh, inaugurate this webinar on SDLC organized by Vagdevi Engineering College, Warangal. Good luck, all of you. Thank you. Over to the studio.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for accepting our invitation and gracing this webinar, sir, and enlightening us about the Computer Society of India and its benefits and uses to students as well as for faculty also. And I thank very much, sir, for gracing this webinar. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
We'll continue our session, sir.
Okay.
With your
I will
permission.
leave. Okay.
With your permission.
Thank you. I will leave.
Okay,
I will leave. Thank you.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much, sir. Good evening, all. Am I audible? Am I audible? Yes. Yeah, am I audible or not? Yeah, just drop a message in live chat. We'll proceed with our session. If I am audible, we'll proceed. Here, quickly give some response from your end. Yes, am I audible? Okay, thank you. So if I am audible, then we'll proceed with our session. Okay, so software development life cycle. This is the new topic added in TCS NQT 2021 test. So that is why I would like to provide some insights into this software development life cycle, because computer science students anyhow they read this SDLC in their software engineering course, but for ECE and other branch students they need some insights into this topic. Okay, so with that in mind, today we'll focus on this topic, software development life cycle. So what is software development life cycle? It is a framework that describes the activities performed at each stage of a software development project. Whenever a software you need to develop, so you need to undergo a systematic approach. Okay, So you need to carry out the activities in a systematic way. Okay, so how to carry out those activities in a systematic way to develop a software product is well described by this software development life cycle, that is called as a SDLC. Okay, so what happens if you follow this development life cycle? Okay, so adhering to software development life cycle process, okay, so it leads to the development of software in a disciplined manner. That means you are following a systematic approach and a disciplined approach, then you will get a end product, a quality product you will get. Okay, so purpose of SDLC is to deliver a high quality product as per the requirements of the customer. Okay, so with that in mind, in software industry, people follow this software development life cycle to develop the software product. So there are different phases in SDLC, software development life cycle. What are those different phases? The first one is requirements gathering and analysis. Second one is design, and third one is implementation or coding phase we call. Then testing phase, deployment phase, and maintenance phase. So these are the different phases we need to undergo to develop a software product. Okay, so this is called a development life cycle phases. Okay, so requirements gathering, design, implementation, testing, deployment, and maintenance. Okay, so we'll discuss in detail what we will do in each of these phases and how we'll come up with a final end product, software product. Now diagrammatically, if you see, there is phases. Okay, so they will be shown diagrammatically in this form because these phases are in a cyclic manner, they will be repeated. Okay, so how they will be repeated, we'll see. Now the first one is requirements gathering and analysis. Then we'll go to, after completing this, we'll go to design phase, then we'll go to implementation part, then testing, then deployment, and then maintenance of a software. Okay, so if still there is any problem, again we'll go back to customer or the client and we'll take his requirements. As per that, again we modify our design. Like this, it repeats. Okay, so we'll see how these phases are accomplished in development of a software. Okay, so coming to the first phase, requirement gathering and analysis phase. Okay, so during this phase, all the relevant information about the software that has to be developed is collected from the customer, or we call him as a client. Okay, so whoever wants a software, that person is called client or customer. Okay, so we collect information, what kind of software he wants, what he is expecting from the software. Okay, so as per the customer's requirements. Okay, so we collect all the information. This is called as a requirement gathering. This is called as a requirement gathering. And personally, we'll meet the customer, we'll meet the client, and we ask the client different questions and we collect information. Okay, so that is how this first phase requirements gathering will be done. Okay, so any ambiguities must be resolved in this phase. That means if the customer is not clear about his requirements, or if the person who is collecting information, if he doesn't understand the requirements of the customer, okay, so then these ambiguities must be resolved in this phase. Otherwise, this misunderstanding will lead to a product which does not satisfy customers' expectation. Okay, so that's why gathering of requirements is very, very important. Okay, so who will do this? Business analyst and a project manager. Both people will involve in this requirement gathering. Okay, so they set up a meeting with customer and gather all the information. Okay, so generally a few information how they collect means by asking questions with the customer. What kind of questions, say what the customer wants to build. Okay, so who will be the end user, who is going to use? For example, I want to set up a 5-star hotel, then I want to use a software for my hotel billing and all the information related to hotel. Okay, so then I go to a software person. Okay, so then I ask him to develop a software for me. Okay, so then they collect information who is going to use the this software, end user, that is called. Okay, so what is the purpose of the product and all. There will be a list of questions prepared by this business analyst and project manager, and they go on asking the questions and collect the information. That's how the requirements will be gathered. Okay, so once the requirements are gathered, okay, so is done, then there should be a phase called as a analysis. Okay, so detailed analysis of requirements is done to check the feasibility of the development of the software product. Okay, so that means after analyzing the requirements, then they check whether this kind of a software project can be developed or not. That is called feasibility. Okay, so then if there are any ambiguities, again they go back to customer, and then they discuss. Okay, so finally after analyzing all the requirements, okay, so then if it is feasible, then they go with the development of a software or product. Okay, so during this, once they collect all the requirements, okay, so they clearly understand all the requirements. Once this is done, then they prepare a document. They prepare a document that is called as a software requirement specification, SRS we call it as, or system requirement specification, SRS. Okay, and there is another document called as BRS, business requirement specification. Okay, so this is related to business involving a amount. Okay, but this SRS is very, very important for our developers. Okay, so these two documents will be prepared after the first phase, and these two documents are verified in all other phases. Okay, especially this SRS will be verified by all other subsequent phases. Okay, so that's why they prepare this SRS very meticulously. Then requirements can be divided into two types, functional and non-functional requirements. Okay, so functional requirements are the requirements the end user specifically demands as the basic facilities. Okay, that means what your software, okay, should provide to the end user. Okay, so what is expecting from your software, from the software. Okay, so these are called functional requirements. Okay, so you can also call them as behavioral requirements. Okay, so all these functionalities necessarily incorporated into the system as part of the contract. Okay, so when they do contract, then they include all these functional requirements in this. Okay, so that means functional requirements, how they tell, that means they state these functional requirements in the form of input to be given to the system, and what kind of operation has to be performed, and what is the expected output. Okay, so in this way, that means if this kind of input is given, then your system should display output in this format. That's how the customer tells to the developers or project manager. Okay, these are called functional requirements. Okay, so generally these functional requirements are told by the user. Okay, so the end user gives all functional requirements to the project manager. Okay, so that means whatever the client wants to see in the end product, final product. Okay, so all those requirements comes under a functional requirements. Then there is another kind of requirements that is called a non-functional requirements. These are basically related to quality of the product. Okay, so all you can call them as quality constraints that system must satisfy as per a customer's requirement. Okay, so you can also call them as non-behavioral requirements, non-functional or non-behavioral requirements. Okay, so some examples of non-functional requirements we can take like performance. Okay, for example, response time, throughput, utilization. Okay, so all this. Then portability, whether your software product. Okay, so initially I installed on a Windows system. Can we port it to Linux operating system or other operating system? Okay, so these kind of requirements will be specified in non-functional requirements. Okay, so like you can just see the list here: portability, scalability, security, reusability, availability, reliability, recoverability, maintainability, serviceability. All these or non-functional, which are related to performance of the system. Okay, so then if you see the difference between functional requirements and non-functional requirements. Okay, so functional requirements defines a system or components of the system, whereas non-functional requirement defines the quality attribute of the software system. Okay, so how best your software should be. Okay, so that quality attribute will be defined by this non-functional requirement. Okay, so it specifies, functional requirement specifies what should the software system should do. Okay, whereas non-functional places the constraints how those functional requirements must be fulfilled by your software system. Okay, so how is non-functional, what is functional requirement? Okay, so functional requirement generally specified by user, and generally this is non-functional specified by technical persons like architect, technical leaders will be there, software team leader and software developers. They define these non-functional requirements, and functional requirements are mandatory, and whereas it is not mandatory because they are related to performance. Okay, so functional requirements helps to verify the functionality of the software. That means whether your software satisfying the requirements of the client or not. Okay, so that defines the functional requirements. This non-functional requirements helps to verify the performance of the software. Okay, so examples, if you do what comes under functional and what comes under non-functional requirements. Okay, so if you see examples, for example, you developed a login page. Okay, so authentication of user must be done. Okay, whenever the user logs in, okay, so then he must be authenticated. This will be defined by the functional requirement. Okay, so then the client ask this, and non-functional email should be sent within a latency of not greater than 12 hours from such an activity. That means if a user logs in, okay, so if you want to, your system has to send an email, then within 12 hours an email has to be sent for some activity, for example. That's how the non-functional requirement will be specified. System shutdown in case of a cyber attack. If there is a cyber attack, then system should shut down immediately. Okay, this is functional requirement. Simple example: processing of each request should be done within 10 seconds. Okay, so your application should perform like authentication. Okay, so login details checking, everything should be done within 10 seconds. That's how non-functional will be specified. Then verification of email is sent to every user whenever he registers for the first time on your system. Okay, so then immediately you have to send the verification email. Okay, so that comes under a functional requirement. And your site should load within 3 seconds whenever the number of users are greater than 10,000. This comes under a non-functional requirement. Okay, so that's how we specify functional and non-functional requirements. Then coming to the next phase, this is the first phase, requirements gathering phase. Now coming to the design phase. Okay, so in this phase, once you are ready with your SRS document, and that SRS document is used as input to the design phase. Okay, so then there is a person called as a architecture. Okay, so who designs who prepares the plan for development of the software, end of software, how to develop. Okay, he prepares the plan, or you call it as design document. Okay, and that will be used as input to the next phase. Okay, so the next phase is implementation phase, coding. Okay, so in design document, how that plan is prepared, generally that plan is prepared in the form of UML diagrams. Okay, so then database designer, tables. Okay, so all those comes under a design, schema design. Both front end design and back end design both will be taken in this second phase, design phase. Then implementation or coding phase. Okay, so in implementation we start writing code by taking the design document. Okay, so once you are ready with your design document, then the software developers, okay, so they are assigned their tasks and they start writing the code for the given task. Okay, so it is nothing but implementation is nothing but translating a design document into source code. Okay, so for each diagram now you are writing a code. Okay, that is called the implementation phase. Okay, so all the components of the software are implemented in this phase. Okay, so for every designer now we'll write code or we'll implement in the implementation phase. Then once you are completed your coding, okay, so then the next phase is testing phase. Okay, so testing phase starts once coding is completed and all the modules are released for testing. Okay, so there are a separate set of software personnel called as testers. Okay, so they test whether your software is working properly or not. Okay, so that will be checked in this testing phase. Okay, so the developed software is tested thoroughly. In this phase it is tested thoroughly and any defects found, okay, so again they are assigned to developers to fix these errors. They are called as bugs or errors. Okay, so they identify, these testers, they identify the bugs, errors in the developed whatever code you have written, then they are reported back to developers and they'll fix again, they enhance the software. Okay, so it is an iterative process. Again it will be given to testers, again they test and again they fix they identify bugs. Okay, again they give the bugs to the developers. Okay, so this is a repeated until a final end product is developed. So in testing, generally retesting will be done, regression testing is done until a software which satisfies all the customers expectation is developed. Okay, so in this phase testers they always they refer to software SRS document. Okay, because SRS document is the one which the client is expecting from your software. That those are the expectations of the client. Okay, so that's why the testers they refer this SRS document to make sure that your software is as per the customer's standard, as per the customer's requirement. So in testing there are different phases: unit testing and integration testing. Okay, so this will take up in testing phase, right? Okay, so unit testing means generally your software contains different modules. It is nothing but a set of modules and each module has to be tested. Okay, so each individual component has to be tested and that type of testing is called as a unit testing. Okay, so these unit test plans are executed to eliminate bugs at a code or a unit level. That means at individual component level will perform a testing and that is called as unit testing. Generally this is carried out by the developer himself. While writing he performs this unit testing. Then integration testing, that means different developers they develop different components. Okay, and all these components are to be integrated. Okay, so then that type of testing is called integration testing. Okay, so once unit testing is completed, then they take all individual components and they combine those individual components and then they test it. That is called as integration testing. In integration testing, modules are integrated. That means combined, and the system as a whole is tested. So this test verifies the communication of modules among themselves. That means how different modules are communicating among themselves, whether a module is sending the return value properly to another module or not. Okay, so all these kinds of testing system as a whole will be performed. That is called integration testing. Then there is another testing called as a system testing. System testing tests the complete application with its functionality. Whereas in integration testing, individual components when combined together, they are performing, behaving well or not, that will be tested here. So then as a system as a whole, then it will be checked. Okay, whether your system is satisfying the functionality or not. Okay, then the interdependency and communication among different modules will be tested. Okay, so it tests the functional and non-functional requirements as we discussed. Now in this phase, they test both the functional requirements and non-functional requirements, whether they are satisfied or not. Okay, so that will be done in this one, system testing. Then user acceptance testing, it is performed in a user environment. Okay, that means your software will be deployed at user's end, and then they test in presence of a user. That is called user acceptance testing. Okay, so user acceptance testing verifies that the delivered system meets user requirement and the system is ready for a use. Okay, so that means it is ready to deploy in the real world environment once the user satisfies all the test cases. Okay, so then he gives his acceptance. Okay, that is in this testing phase. Then comes your deployment phase. Once thorough testing is done and user or the client satisfied the way your software product is performing. Okay, so then you can say that your system is ready for a deployment. Deployment is nothing but installation. Okay, so it is deployed in the production environment. Okay, and first time user acceptance testing is performed. Okay, so once it is done, then it will be deployed on the server. Okay, so then the end users who are the end users for this software then can start using that software. Okay, so once it is deployed on the server, then you can say that your system is installed perfectly and now people starts using this software. Okay, that means your software now goes live. You can say now your software is ready for use. Okay, so people start using it one. Okay, so during using the software there may be some errors. Okay, so that comes under a maintenance phase. Okay, so after the deployment of the product on the production environment, maintenance of the product will be done. Okay, that means during runtime, okay, if there are any issues in the dynamic environment, if there are any issues coming up, okay, those bugs, practical bugs needs to be fixed. Okay, and these kind of practical bugs, they will be reported during this maintenance phase. Okay, so like this, these are the different phases of software development life cycle. So thank you one and all.